This is an Unsolicited Perspectives YouTube exclusive.
Jay, I sent you a clip. The clip is from Richard Reeves, not the son of Christopher Reeves, but just an author who was working on solving men issues without pitting them against women. And he was on the Daily Show. And he had some really interesting things to talk about as far as the progress of men and the progress of women. So we know, because we've talked about it on the show numerous times, that women are starting to lap men as far as education and careers, and there's still a wage gap, but like women are making more money and like men are kind of falling behind. And that is a real issue. It is a real issue. But conservatives tend to take that issue and then change what the cause of that issue is. And conservatives like to say, well, it's because of women. So all these opportunities are given to women. And that's not necessarily the case. And he was just talking about how to improve men's lot in life without attacking women's progress. And I thought that was a really interesting topic because it is something that is happening out there in the world. But it's just like when somebody says, you didn't get that job because of affirmative action. And it's like, well, no, kind of, sort of, right? Like you didn't get that job because the talent pool was expanded and you weren't good enough.
Yeah.
But what that's saying when they say DEI or affirmative action is you didn't get that job because that person was black, or you didn't get that job because that person's woman and they chose you because of some quota. And that isn't the case. So he was talking about how we can improve men's lot in life without trying to attack women, because it's not a zero-sum game.
Right.
So what did you think about the clip?
So the clip was truncated, so I didn't hear what his solutions were. I didn't get a chance to see the entire segment.
Well, I have the solutions.
Okay.
I have the
So
solutions.
yeah, so like I would say my initial thoughts just watching the clip that I saw. He said that we should be talking about men and masculinity in a way that doesn't diminish like women, right? And I just don't know that that's possible. I don't think that it's possible to still uphold some of the ideals of traditional masculinity, because the men that you're talking about who blame women or blame people of color for their problems, the type of masculinity that they are subscribing to can never be evolved or reformed in a way that they can still hold on to some of those traditions and ideals, but not disparage other groups, because the basis of their masculinity, the way that they see themselves as valuable, is by stepping on the necks of other people. So I would be interested in hearing what his solutions are, because I wasn't really on the same page with him. I just don't think that we can continue to keep the kind of masculinity that the people like that are subscribed to. I don't think we can keep any parts of it.
I would say I'm going to get to his solutions in a minute. And when you hear some of his solutions, I think that might change your mind. But what should change your mind is you have a clear case right in front of you where that absolutely has happened. The thing that you think can happen did happen with me.
Yeah, but I think you revised your entire idea of what masculinity is. I don't think you're still holding, and the ways in which you're still holding on to those traditional masculine like you find almost shameful. Like you'll interject, I know this is still the patriarchy talking, but I don't listen to female rappers or something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you feel,
Which is not true. I listen to Glow. Yeah, Glow. but
Yeah,
that's just the one.
that's true, right. Or like it took you a while to watch Hidden Figures, right? Like, so like
Long time.
yeah, so like you still, even when you talk in that way, you still find some shame in it a little bit.
Mhm.
Like you don't want that. So it's still, I still don't see, I don't know, maybe if I hear his solutions to the problem, I know that there is a problem. I think we all know that there is a problem between men and women in this country of all races, economic backgrounds, education level, whatever. There is an issue between men and women in this country for people who are in heterosexual relationships or heterosexual. Like there's an issue, right?
Mhm.
So what are his solutions so that
Okay.
maybe I can wrap my mind around it?
So Richard Reeves said the approach should be to frame these struggles as systemic, not a backlash to women's progress, avoiding framing gender issues as a zero-sum game. He brought up several ways to improve upon this. One way was education, reforming teaching methods to better engage boys, later school start times, vocational training. For the workforce, invest in male dominated sectors like manufacturing, trades, which are facing a decline. He also made a point to just say mental health, expand access to male tailored mental health resources and reduce stigma. He said pro equality framework, shared goals, advocate for policies that uplift all genders, pay parental leave for both parents to normalize caregiving roles for men. Avoid anti-feminism, reject rhetoric that blames feminism for men's issues. Instead, align with gender equality movements. Promote positive traits, emotional openness, and caregiving over toxic stereotypes. Role models. He highlighted male mentors in education and community programs to help guide boys, which is also true. So many of there's not enough male teachers
Yeah.
to educate young boys, to show them, hey, look, man, you got an issue today. What's going on? Hey, you can talk to me, right? Let
Yeah.
me help you out with your problem. If young boys don't see that, then how are they supposed to learn it? So he said delay kindergarten for boys to account for developmental gaps. Basically, women mature faster than boys. So maybe we should not have them on the same pace as far as maturity level. You said parental leave, male teachers, just changing the framework around how we address these things. Attacking toxic masculinity at a young age by giving young men the ability to open up and speak will hopefully eliminate the attack to women later in life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I agree. Yes. I mean, we know that we need more male teachers. I know that I can speak to this, that there is a real push for more black male teachers, right? So that young black boys can see males in that role and have role models in education. So I do agree with that. I don't know, some of it sounds like affirmative action for men, right? Like, hey, men develop slower, so let's give them a helping hand. Like it's just
Would
it's
that be any different than developing programs to identify ADHD in young girls, which show differently than they do in boys?
yeah, I know. I don't actually disagree with him at all. I do think that some of the like these accommodations should be I do think that we should rethink education in this country, period, because you cannot teach every child the same way. Every
Exactly.
child has different learning style. Every child is in a different place cognitively. You have children who are neurotypical and children who are neurodivergent. I agree that education in this country should be reformed to be more inclusive of the different ways that children can present, right? Um, so yeah, I don't know if okay. I just feel like this is kind of obvious. Like This feels like the answer is, yeah, men need therapy and to evolve. Well, obviously.
Yeah, but he's trying to show, hey, there are steps to get to this at a younger age, but also we need to reframe for this people that for those incels, for the men that's in the manosphere. This is essentially who he's talking to. He's not
Mhm.
talking to women. He's talking to men in the manosphere and incels that blame women for everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, we need to reach out to them and show them one, this is not a zero-sum game, right? This
Right.
is not they're taking something away from you. That's not what it is. But also, we need to try to strip away toxic masculinity. Essentially, what he's saying is become me, right? Like
Yeah.
he's saying, try to evolve yourself so that your idea of masculinity, like you said at the top, is different than what patriarchy tells you it should be.
Yeah, I mean, that again, that feels kind of obvious.
To
Hey,
you, but there's a
hey,
lot of people out there that don't, that's just like, that's good.
I mean, I just don't know. I don't know. I've seen, unfortunately, firsthand y- how vicious men in the manosphere and these incels can be. They hate women. They hate them. I just don't I don't know if telling them, "Hey, you could live a different way. You can evolve and get therapy." I think they know that. They don't want it. They want to hate women and blame something out. You're asking somebody who is dedicated to blaming external things instead of looking inward, because inward is a lot of work. Looking inward is a lot of work. You know that. Challenging these ideas and these perceptions is a lot of work. And it's easier to blame things outside of yourself that you don't have any control over. So I don't know. I would love to think that his message could reach people, because I think it's right. I don't know how far that's going to get.
Well, let's put it this way. If the message is out there and it reaches some can change.
Then it's worth it.
It's worth it because it could become a domino effect. You
Yeah.
know, like if I ever were to have children, if I ever were to have sons or daughters,
Mhm.
they're going to understand my stances on what I believe masculinity to be, and it is fluid
Yeah.
because life is fluid.
Yeah. And
So,
and and you have to understand all these things are social constructs. They're not hard and fast rules and they change all the time. Men used to wear wigs and high heels.
mm,
So like it changes all the time. What the definition of masculinity is shifts depending on who's in power
mhm.
and what their definition, what they want it to be. And so I think it's detrimental to everyone to subscribe to something that really doesn't have any firm foundation, that doesn't have any hard and fast rules, that is so malleable like that. You shouldn't be basing your whole identity on something that doesn't have a definition. The definition changes depending on who's in power or what time period we're in. You shouldn't base your whole personality on that. Find something else.
Okay.
There's so much more to you than what you got going on downstairs. There's so much more to you than that.
It's so important to us, though.
But I mean, there's so much more to men and women
Yeah, this is true.
than that. That is literally something you can't control.
Can't control it. Well, nowadays surgery, you can control a lot of things.
I mean, yes, yes, but the point is you're born as who you're born as. Like whether your gender identity or your sexual identity remain, like you were always yourself. You can do things, surgeries, therapies, hormones and different things like that to get you closer to who you always were,
Mhm,
but you were born who you were.
mhm.
Like I'm not saying you are your assigned sex. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying the opposite of that. You were born yourself
Mhm.
outside of what your sex was at birth. You are a whole person with other things going for you. That's not all you are. And you shouldn't be basing your life and the decisions that you make and everything on your gender or your sex. There's so much more to you than that. There's so much more to humanity than that. And if we keep putting ourselves in these tiny boxes, we're never, ever going to grow.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a YouTube exclusive.
Join the conversation and follow the Unsolicited Perspectives podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio podcasts.